heard her tell it. People on the streets say Sabrina speaks. Tune into the show, she will let you know. Tell all your friends and family. Real talk is no joke. You get the news straight up from grassroots and concerns. You hear some people gone. So tell all your friends to tune in to
Good evening, Cayman. I'm Sabrina Turner, and welcome to Sabrina Speaks, your daily dose of clarity, truth, and community insights. Every weekday from 5 to 6:30 p.m., we're tackling the issues that affect you, from national headlines to grassroots concerns. Whether you're in traffic or winding down your day, this is your chance to hear it straight and speak your truth. So buckle up, Cayman. We're not holding back.
This is the show. We gotta let you know. Now we got to go.
And now here's Sabrina.
For you. Yes, that is what it's about. And it is just a pleasure to be back here with you on this Thursday. Yes. Heart to heart. Yep. Happy Thursday. Keep it simple. Keep it peaceful. Keep it together. And always be grateful to have another chance to do what you love doing. That's profound. That's deep. And I'm hoping that as you embark on this day and as you say goodbye to another day, some of you are waking up to a fresh start, a new morning, kicking off for your Friday early. I'm hoping that you had a very productive day. You're optimistic, you're happy, you're making the best out of whatever life is throwing at you, because you are the mastermind. You are the craftsman for your own path, for your own road. And, at the end of the day, who cares what anybody thinks about you? That's their opinion. Believe in yourself. Yeah, but this episode of Sabrina Speaks tonight is open mic. The mic is open. But not just for sound. It's open for you, for truth, for pain, for hope, and for the voices that often go unheard. Because I want to hear from you. I want to continue to hear from you. As you know, Parliament is still ongoing. Right now, the debate is still on in regards to the Immigration Transition and Validation Bill of 2025. But this isn't just about legislation here this evening. It's about identity. It's about the quiet ache of feeling invisible in our own country. And it's about Caymanians asking, do we still matter? Now, I said today I was out and about. I was on the road, I would say, from about 10 o'clock. And literally, thank God I was coming against traffic with the motor vehicle accident there again on Shamrock Road across from Al Kebabs. Oh my God. Big Suburban, I think. Yeah, it was a Suburban. Looked like though it overturned. We had rain here today, of course, and the roads were very slick. And I didn't witness the accident. I just saw, of course, when the guys were moving it. But traffic was backed up from in that vicinity of coming into town across from Al Kebab and Selkirk Drive. I don't know what happened, but we're asking people to drive with extreme caution on the roads, and especially when it rains. It's that bend right there. There's always standing water on the opposite side of the road, and cars coming from town, sometimes once the standing water is there, they can hydroplane. But not only that, the water from that other side of the road can spray and it can hit your windscreen. And it happened earlier on today when I was heading in that we had the first shower of rain. Of course, it came down harder after I left Prospect. But yeah, that area right there is very, very dangerous, especially when we have a good shower of rain. So I'm hoping that the occupant or occupants of that motor vehicle are okay. But it just goes to bring home the point even more about the National Road Safety Campaign and speeding and that sort of stuff, and just use good judgment, especially when the roads are wet. But yes, the content you're about to hear, including any discussions or opinions from myself, guests, and or participants, is intended solely for general informational and entertainment purposes. It's not a substitute for professional, legal, medical, or financial advice. I encourage you to consult with a qualified professional for specific concerns. Bridge Media Limited and all its affiliates disclaims all liability for any decisions or actions taken in reliance on the information presented. 345-936-8255 is the number to call to be a part of the discussion. Like any other of our shows, you are welcome to call in. We want to hear from you. As a matter of fact, I love it when you call. And I will tell you some of the encounters that I had today, which was very interesting. I think that slowed down my day, but I didn't mind. It was good to get out, to engage, and to get their people's feedback. And when I tell you, this time of the year, you're seeing Caymanians out, boy. It was really good. It was really good to engage with all of the persons who came up to me and interacted with me. It was pretty cool. We could be on the same path. It's like there's an extension of the show, even in the supermarkets. But people are hungry for information, and I was happy that I'm able to share with them. Let's get right into the weather again so that you can just know exactly what's happening in the forecast. Thanks to the Cayman Islands National Weather Service, the synopsis calls for residual moisture lingering across the Northwest Caribbean, coupled with the presence of a surface trough near Honduras, will allow for the chance of some showers across the Cayman area over the next 24 hours. From late tonight, a gradual increase in winds and seas are expected as a ridge of high pressure builds across the northern Caribbean, and satellite imagery shows scattered clouds across the Northwest Caribbean. Now, the forecast for tonight calls for partly cloudy skies with a 40% chance of late night showers and possible thunder. Temperatures will fall near to mid to upper 70s. Winds will be northeasterly at 5 to 10 knots, becoming 10 to 15 knots by daybreak. Seas will be slight with wave heights of 1 to 3 feet. Now, tomorrow's forecast calls for partly cloudy skies with a 40% chance of showers in the morning. Please, please, please be careful on the roads. Decreasing thereafter. Temperatures will rise near the mid to upper 80s. With a heat index of 91. Winds will be east to northeast at 10 to 15 knots, and seas will be slight to moderate with wave heights of 2 to 4 feet, becoming 3 to 5 feet by the afternoon. There will be a low tide at 10:44 tonight, a high tide at 5:33 in the morning, and a low tide again at 11:19 a.m. The sun is setting this evening at 5:47, and tomorrow's sunrise will be at 6:50. Sunset tomorrow evening, where's my honey bun Jimbo? At 5:47 tomorrow evening. The outlook is for moderate winds through Saturday afternoon. Thereafter, a decrease in winds and seas are expected as the aforementioned ridge decays as the high pressure system moves into the central Atlantic. Boy, that was a mouthful, but you know exactly how to plan for your nights, your days, your sunsets, whatever they're going to be. But yeah, that is how it's going to roll here in the beautiful Cayman Islands, the best place I know anyone could desire and want to live. And I am so happy that to call the Cayman Islands home. Well, you know, I found one birthday girl. Yeah, I saw a proud sibling posting her sister. Yeah, happy birthday, Rosanny. Weatherford celebrating her birthday today. And I'm going to do this on behalf of your sister, Tisha. Yes. And from all of us here on the Sabrina Speaks family, wishing you a happy birthday and many, many more. And for anybody that I have overlooked, again, and you're celebrating a birthday today, happy birthday from all of us here. You, I come into you. Just help us celebrate with Tisha's sister today on her special day. Happy birthday. Wish you many, many more. And I hope that you're being spoiled, not only today, but for the entire remainder of the That's not a big request, you know. You can actually demand that you be treated special for the rest of the year. Hint, hint. All the best to you, my love. Yes, yes, yes. Oh, you know how we roll here, girl. I gotcha. I gotcha. I will fasten the side on your page, so I just pulled the picture. Hey, darling. Good evening to you, my sweet. How are you, Miss Stephanie? How are you, my love? Happy holidays. Yeah, you got to take extra care and caution on the roads out there. It's really bad. And with everybody out, you know, doing extra shopping and that sort of stuff, there are luncheons that are happening. There, again, some organizations, some departments are actually having parties at night, and some are actually doing luncheons. So there's a lot of additional movement on the road this time of the year. Just be extremely, extremely careful on the roads. Hey, my love, Iva. How my Milo girl? Damian Henry, always good to see you. Oh, upgrade to professor now. Good God. Thank you. I acknowledge that, but I'm far from that. I am just so happy to create this space for dialogue, but it does not matter. It does not give the value without your feedback, without your participation. And I will reiterate, my opinion does not matter here. I am here to create the space, to deliver information, and to ventilate issues, and we solve them together, air it, discuss it. And I can tell you, they're listening. They are listening. And you're not going to get everybody liking you. No, we know that. Some people may not even like the style of how I delivered this show. But the mere fact that I have held my word, that my opinion does not matter on this forum, because this space is for you guys. This space is an outlet for you guys. And of course, I will bring topics that is out there, that's topical with what's local, what's regional. I've even spoken on things that has been regional as well. But you will never hear my opinion. I'm just bringing it to the forefront. My opinion does not matter. I'm creating this space. So if that is the atmosphere that some viewers may want, where my opinion is concerned, I'm sorry, the wrong space for you. Go someplace else. I have been a woman to my word when it came to when I started this, that this space is for you. We will learn. We will definitely share topics and explore them together and educate. And that's why I love your participation, every single one of you, Danny, Mr. Balika, Siobhan, everybody, because it's good to get all sides in their opinion. And you're entitled to your opinion. We just want to make sure that we keep it respectful, and this is the space for it. But I am telling you, they're listening. Marshall, it's always good to see you. Hello, Miss Dorothy. Connie Boo, Jim, please check in. Remember, you don't want to go back to the naughty corner for Christmas. The two of you. Connie, I don't understand. You divorced a man, you threw out all of his clothes. I was the only one that's loyal, but you still want him to check in. You see? Oh, you women. Some of y'all, you are something else. Hello, Annie. How you doing, my love? That's right. Here, my friend. And I will continue to be the class clown. Keep all you laughing, you brute. Danny and them had you going last night, though. You said what? There was a lot for you to absorb. I got that feedback today. Just now that I've pretty much acknowledged. Hey, Miss Gina, how are you, my love? Oh, God, you go, girl. Go, boyfriend. How you doing? Christmas coming. I got one word to say to you. I'm not even calling your name. They can see it. Jasmine. Yes, good evening, everyone from cold, Connecticut. You go, girl. Happy holidays. What you drink over there? Hot cocoa or Milo? What is your favorite beverage, or you go to the adult beverages? Now that we've gotten this and we've acknowledged all of you, thank you for joining us. Thank you for being a part of this space. And like I said, 345-936-8255 is the number to call to join into the conversation. I hope that the MVA the residual traffic has actually waned now, and any traffic that is just a regular 5 o'clock traffic. But in this case, the traffic would be coming from town heading east. But I saw the amount of traffic that motor vehicle accident caused. I'm hoping that that's cleared now for all of you who are hot milk. Oh, okay. All right. Well, we drink Milo. I drink Milo. And some other stuff as well. But yeah, good for you. Well, enjoy the temperatures. Just send us some cool breeze. Yeah. So at the end of the day, today, I just want all of you guys who are in traffic going up or going home to just be cognizant of that there could be some delays. Let's hope good. Just hope that everything is cleared and everything, you have an easy commute home and you have a wonderful evening, no matter what you plan to do with it. But yeah, extreme caution because there's still some standing water on the roads. I was out and about today, as I said, for those of you just joining me, and I did the big thing of grocery shopping. I really wanted to get it out of the way, and I didn't want to do that this weekend or even into next week, unless if you're real Caymanian, I'm quite sure a lot of you have already probably gotten your meats already seasoned and all that good stuff. I just needed to do general grocery shopping. And for the 3 places that I had to end up going, that's how bad it was. I want to thank everyone for coming up to me and just acknowledging the show. I was humbled. I was like, you listen to me? And the conversations that ensued, the amount of respect and the feedback received was, thank you. We're learning so much. We want to thank you for taking time to do that. And then of course, there were the infamous immigration questions, that sort of stuff, and scenarios. And then what came with the exception, and I must say I interacted with straight up to stop and talk in the aisles with a total of at least 10 people, right? And at the end or during every conversation, besides me being Sabrina and just doing my thing, at the end of every engagement, they went back to the immigration amendment bill that is being debated. And everyone, not prompted, said, it's too late now. Oh God, it's too late. You hear it from the first and the second one, and then it becomes a pattern, all different locations. And I'm going to tell you straight. Price right, Foster's Kamana Bay, and cost you less. 3, yeah, I had to hit all 3 because some got what I need, what I didn't have, and yeah. It is, you shop for price. You shop for And it was amazing. Then I stopped at the gas station too, and I was engaging. And everyone not related said the same thing. And you could see them actually deflating. And for the record, I met up with some of the first settlers, Jamaicans who came to Cayman that I knew for years, and some who are leaving, not Jamaicans though, at another location. They're going to be rolling over in March. So I said, what are you going to do? Because I know this is the only home their kids know and that sort of stuff. Oh, we're leaving. And we were just catching up. And what was unique again, even from Caymanians, it's just too expensive. And we're concerned. We're concerned that it's not, we can't afford. Respectful. One actually teared up because this is home. They recalled the relationships, the friendships that they've made here in Cayman. But that was profound, in a sense where these are people whose kids, and they wanted from day one, even though they were on work permits, they wanted their kids to go to public school, but they just couldn't because of the condition of their work permit. They wanted their children to actually mix with Caymanians. And they felt that the only how that would be possible, and that's if they had the privilege or the rights to be accepted in our government schools, but they understood. So that was good, actually engaging with a lot of my locals today, a lot of Caymanians, and we shared stories, of course, exchange, brief top-ups, how you doing, that sort of stuff. It really felt good. And you push your cart and you just engage. People give you a smile. I guess they're recognizing me. And then when they realize, then it's good show. I like you. Miss Sabrina, keep it up. And I can't, of course, mimic everybody, but I did that deliberately to show you the diverse engagement that I had. And it's good. It's good. So obviously we're on to something here. And I want to thank every one of you for your support and continued support here on this show as we continue to educate one another. But yeah, it was really good to be out. I still have not finished unpacking because I'm disgusting. I like to pull all of my stuff forward and put whatever to the back. And yeah, when I pack in my bags and packing the groceries in the bag, I have to make sure that of course it makes sense. All the coals are in the coals and all the tins are in the yeah, I'm sick like that. Tell me if that's an issue. So that when you come home, you know, you pick up that bag and this one has to go in that cupboard. This is all the cold stuff. But for me, it just makes sense. You organize it from the time you're at the checkout to it so that it's easier when you're offloading. Unlike some people in my household who sometimes help, they just put it in the shelves all over the place. And oh my God, you can see the smoke coming through my ears. But it just makes sense. Do it right from the beginning. So yeah, that's a high maintenance. And again, I've shared another little secret with you about me. I am very particular like that. Any vegetables and stuff like the sweet peppers, that sort of stuff that I have, if there's any remaining and I'm topping up because it is the holidays, we're going to be cooking. I try to make sure that they're to the top and you use the older ones, of course, to me first, because to me, that just makes sense, right? So yeah, that was my day. So I'm pretty much in for the rest of the week. And yeah, I could hit the road this weekend with family. So there you have it. Hey, I saw some interesting headlines today. And this goes for persons, and it's on the CMR.com Facebook page in regards to any Caymanian applying for a US visa that you're now going to be required to share. You could be asked to share your social media history for any US travel, especially with your visa application, for 5 years worth of your social media history when applying for a visa to enter the US. This has been something that the President of the United States is now going to put in place. And some people there's mixed reviews on that. But yeah, that's in their effort to clamp down, I guess, to see what you've been on, what you've been saying, and all this sort of stuff. So take heed. So I can see some cleanups for all of you who are very anti, or it's going to be interesting how that plays out. But for anyone who's applying for a U.S. visa, Caymanians or visitors, whatever, anything for an application to gain entry into the United States, you could be asked to provide 5 years of your social media handles for them to peruse your what you've been doing. So that is something to actually be considered. Yeah. Who's got their turtle and fresh beef? I'm getting my beef. I don't eat turtle. Oh God, no. No, I can't eat him. But I do. Esther, I'm not so sure. This is a question. And Esther also. Okay, yeah, you're telling me that. Okay, so that's for both. Yeah, so I was just reading the pop-up on as I get it here. And then I noticed Sandra did an article, but because of timing, I didn't get to read it. But you can go for the full details. But the key is you're going to now have to give your information, all of your social media history when applying for these things. So very interesting times. Some people actually think that that is another way of control. You have heard Denny and I think Miss Lisa as well speaking about this, and it's all in the line of digital control. And these are just little layers on top layers that is just being peeled away at your privacy. And if you want to go to that country, then you give up your information. That is what is being said. So is that just one phase of what's to come? I don't know. Let's see. Well, nobody want to apply for a U.S. visa. That's a breach in a sense. Disgusting. Well, not for when you want to go to another man's country. When you look at where this digital footprint is going, my love, they can ask for anything. You want to go there? These are the rules. And when you flip that to what is happening here, or what we're trying to do, oh, that was another thing that came up with a couple of the people that I ran into at the supermarket. Why does this feel like Trump? Oh, I guess I got to be careful how I'm calling that name. Why does it feel like we're the United States? Yeah, that came up 1-2 times as well. And I've seen comments here on this platform that we need something like ICE. I've heard what little bit that I did catch of the parliament today. And I'm going to be very honest with you, I haven't. I've just been on the road all day. But what little bit I caught, they're calling for enforcement as well. We have been actually asking for that here. Enforcement is going to be key. The enforcement has to be adequately funded. They have to be trained and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, that was quite interesting that we're feeling like we're taking the stance of the US. So let's see. Only time will tell in regards to that. Yeah. Hina, see people barely coming USA. Well, I guess there's still a lot that is hungry to go there, my love. Can't clean up. Oh, Connie is saying you can't clean up. They will know. Okay, that's your social media footprint. Well, everything is censored right now. Even here in this space, you have to be guarded because all it takes is someone reporting and you could be removed. And that is control, freedom of speech, that sort of stuff. I mean, what we've been doing here is more education, bringing an awareness to people what's happening. But that's about it. And it's not because we're not going to get into some eventually or at some point in time, there will be, like now, this is very topical because immigration is very topical still here in the Cayman Islands because it's ongoing. And I think people are really feeling that they have lost the ability to have their voices heard or feel as though they value. But at the end of the day, we're seeing this happening in other jurisdictions as well. What I'm feeling is that now it's only recently that locals have been really paying attention. Caymanians, natives have been really paying attention and bringing it forward the way we have done in discussing it. Me being nonpartisan, just delivering it, how I interpret it. I'm just putting it out there in the public's domain what is being proposed to put into law here in the Cayman Islands. So if some people are feeling that this is almost feeling like another jurisdiction, i.e. the United States, let's see. Let's see if that is the case. Are they being inspired? Is anybody, if other jurisdictions are trying to combat illegal workers, that sort of stuff, but it's how it's done, I think, is what people are actually are concerned about. Yeah. So at the end of the day, it is this and everywhere else is right now trying to curtail immigration. And we're seeing it also in the UK. We're seeing it regionally as well. So let me repeat, at no point in time has anyone ever on this space said that we did not need immigration reform. It was actually the space where we were saying it's how it's being done. And I just want to make that abundantly clear that even in the House, what little utterance I'm hearing, or what utterance I'm hearing, is that everybody is in support of immigration reform, but there are just certain areas are not going to achieve exactly what was being asked. I will also reiterate the fact that this has nothing. I have no skin in the game when it comes to political parties, when it comes to this space. I'm just delivering. And again, it's working. We have created that environment where, and I am so happy that you are actually engaging. So where we go from here, will there be consequences at the end of the day? I don't know. We just have to wait. We have to wait and see. And just in all, let's see the outcome of it. Yeah. Good evening, caller. Welcome. How are you?
Well, fine, thanks. Yeah, Sabrina, I'm just thinking, does everybody in Cayman now have to have a little drive where they have their radio calls, so that when they go in for, if you're a sort of person who needs a visa, when you go to the embassy, you give them all your phone calls to Sabrina Speaks, to the Cold Heart.
That's why, sir, Mr. Malika, that is why I keep it nonpartisan as a host. And that is the greatest joy, because I have only been professional. I have only been diplomatic. Now, to tell you that sometimes inside of me don't be bubbling, it does, but that's not the environment that I'm creating here. And I must say publicly, you have received a number of compliments today, Kenny, Denny as well, from persons that I engaged with. And they applauded yourselves, Denny, Siobhan, and some of the other persons who even comment on the different platforms for their participation. So I'm telling you, people are listening, even though they're not commenting. People applaud you for taking time for your contribution, and you add that level of understanding, more so to the fact that now I think yesterday's episode and the day before, with the whole civil servants now being allowed to work in the private sector, that is scaring the bejeebers out of people. And they're like, so why can't they just slow it down? But bottom line is, when they're realizing now that they're debating this very same bill on the floor of Parliament, they're like, well, it's too late. It's too late. And you can see them just deflating. You see them deflating.
Yeah, you see, this is, well, first of all, it's always good to be appreciated. I mean, I'm the old Catholic boy. I'm no longer Catholic, but I was brought up pretty much in a Christian environment, and I still adhere to a lot of the belief. And I was told that when you are part of any society, make a positive contribution if you can. Because if you do not, actually, that is sinful for you not to make yourself available. So I live by that precept. But on top of that, some of the names you mentioned there have inspired me as well. Another person you'd have mentioned, of course, is Lisa Prendergast.
Yeah, Lisa.
She's another one who I've interacted a little bit with, and I really respect her views as well.
Even they didn't remember Carrie's name, and they said, Even
Oh.
Kim and Brock got a representative, and boy, we learning from her.
Yeah, and Carrie, see, I mean, she's very passionate, of course, but she's got a lot of content. I remember way back when she was she hosted one or two shows for Woody Da Costa on Costock, and she invited me over, and I you know, we spoke about some issues there. And one thing that I always compliment her about, particularly on air, is that she's got one of the best voices you can ever have. You know, a lovely voice.
Yeah. So what's on your mind today? Have you been listening? Because I've been out and about getting references and, you know, taking all the love for you.
Well, that's you are vicariously receiving the praise. Well, that's good, because you also deserve praise because of the way you direct the conversation. It always helps that when we call in, some of us are kind of opinionated. It always helps to have somebody
balance
there. Yeah, balance to say, okay, how about this? How about the devil's advocate?
Right.
Because I always believe that, you see, by getting voices that are perhaps different from yours, or perhaps even opposing you, it helps you to either sometimes to refine your views as well. I always tell this story about somebody who came to my office one time in Cayman, and went to my shelf and they found that there are all kinds of books. You know, I had books like extreme rightist views and extreme leftist views, and then the person said, I can't tell whether you are rightist or leftist, because you put everything there.
Correct.
I have bought books that I know I will disagree with, but I buy them because I said I want to see exactly where this guy is coming from. Right. So it's one of those. Yes, you know, Sabrina, I've been listening to much of the debate. I missed some of the earlier ones. I listened to quite a bit to what Chris Saunders had to say, and Kenneth, and I think Kenneth is still on the floor.
He's still on, yeah.
When they resume now, you know, he'll be talking. And look, I you know, just all these speeches, it's like, you see, they when I listened to Chris Saunders, he hit on a number of things. You know, he talked about not just failure of Caymanians sometimes to get jobs, but also underemployment, which is very often underemphasized. And I think Kenneth as well, he in his speech also mentioned that, because I know people in the Cayman Islands who have a master's degree, okay, and they work at the reception. Okay, how can that be? You know, working at the reception is a good thing, which people do, especially in the early part of their professions and so on. But somebody like this particular person had worked before in some assistant manager type of job, and then they've got a master's, they were hoping to move up and so on. They wound up working at the reception. No, that's not right. And I think Chris Saunders was quite right when he said, look, sometimes our problem is not even education. Don't tell me that these kids who have gone overseas and they've come back, they have to stay 2-3 years without a job. Don't tell them it's because they don't have the education. They have the education. And you can't tell them that the problem is because they need to upskill themselves. When you have people who are even less skilled than them constituting part of that 40,000 people who are on work permits. And I think all these things, I mean, he was so right to point out about those things. And I like the fact that he also emphasized that the enforcement is really 50% more or less of the issue. And what he tried to do, I like what he tried to do, because he gave these figures like from about 2011 to about 2024, about how many status grants were being given. And basically the point he was trying to make, and I think he was justified in making that, he said, look, at the time when he was minister in charge of immigration, he put together this board with Richard Barton, Steve McField, and a lot of other people there. And he wanted to sort of like ramp up the enforcement. And he gave the figures. He said, if I recorded them correctly, I understand, by the way, they are available on the eso.ky website.
Right.
Like in 2020, they had 416 status grants, 2021, 519, 2022, 576. Then 2023, which is about the time he was minister, they went down to 266. And then after he left, 2024, they went up to 1,567. Okay. So basically, to me, he didn't make the point very directly, but he seemed to be saying, look, I caught a lot of flack being minister and trying to be tough and to reduce some of these grants so that we can balance out the issues better. But I paid the price. And so I just think that it was very good. I advise people. I haven't gone to the website myself, but I understand these figures are there. It's good to go to that website.
Can I inject a little bit?
Sorry.
Can I inject a little bit?
Mm-hmm.
My memory serves me well. Is that there were pending applications that just weren't being looked at. It's not that people did not apply. They applied. It's just that at one point the board was not dealing with any, which is again illegal. So
yes, it's an issue. And
so the numbers would have gone down if the board was not looking at the applications. So of course the numbers would be down, but it's not that people were not applying. So the number skyrocketing was them trying to play catch up because for whatever reason, they stopped. And the law didn't give them the right to not process. We're lucky. We're lucky that there's not a lawsuit. Because once they met the requirement to apply, what would be the reason for delay?
Yes. And that issue you've raised now, it makes me want to raise 2 points. One is directly related. The other one is about the legal implications of delay. But the first point is that, yes, you see, even in my debate, my views, I've always said that the number of 1,567 is very high because of the backlog.
Correct.
Because the previous year was 266,
which
was
it's a backlog.
Almost half of the.
It's a backlog.
It was a backlog. Now, it's very interesting why that backlog was there, because there was some talk, unconfirmed, that they were trying to see if they could amend the law, at about that time, so that people could be considered under the new, more restrictive laws, but they were not able to agree. I understand it might have been strategic, but then when they failed to do that, then they just cleared the backlog. The other theory is, they just had some logistic problems, and so that's why that happened. But so at the end of the day, the way it looks, it was like the trend was kind of up. If you look at the ones, not very steeply, they were sort of like between 400 to about 600. Other 2020, or rather 2011, they kind of started going up to about the 600s and so on and so forth. They were trending up in a very slow kind of way. But you see, at the end of the day, I like that he gave these figures, but then it now makes me think again about what Kenneth Bryan was saying. Kenneth today said, well, look, you are not telling me where Cayman is going to be in 10 years' time, because you are giving status grants and PR to certain people who actually some of them you don't even know how many children they have outside, because once they get that status, they are going to bring them over and so forth. And to me, I think it dovetails with what we are talking about in terms of in the past, how much grants you have given, as well as this issue of, do you want to grant more status than the natural Caymanian birth rate? So you see, they are all saying that and so on, but just I would have loved answers to some of the issues that have been put out there. But let me mention something. I'll come back to immigration, but let me mention something before I get away from what Chris was saying. He touched on something relating to committees of parliament. You see, what he said is something which I have also said some time back, Parliament, doesn't really scrutinize in great detail, if at all, a lot of these reports which are laid on the table of the House. Like, the deputy governor will get up and say, "Oh, this is a report from the civil service. I lay it on the table in the house. Do you want to debate it?" Or, well, there's no debate. I would like to thank my colleagues for their tacit support. So you find all these reports, a report from the ombudsman, report from the DPP's office, then the judiciary, all those, generally speaking, in a proper parliament. And this is the point he made. He said, if you want to be a parliament, be a parliament. If you're a proper parliament, you'll have committees which scrutinize these reports. For example, one very common committee in the UK and other Commonwealth countries is a Committee on Government Assurances. The Committee on Government Assurances, you will know that, having been a parliamentarian, is that every time you see a minister gets up and says, "Oh, yes, we'll look into that and we'll report to the House. We'll look into this. Okay, we can't give you a direct answer now, but we'll get back to you." But there is no mechanism where you can formally do that. Exactly. It's just the minister sometimes says, "Okay, fine, I'll go to the minister's office," or the backbencher will say, "I'll go receive." No. Once those assurances are made as to what they will do, this committee compiles all those promises. And then it follows up from Parliament. They've got even some backup staff who follow up with ministers. Oh, the committee is inquiring, "Minister, you made an assurance on such and such a day that you provide certain figures. Do you have those figures?" Do you see? That way, you better perform your checks and balances in relation to that. So, but basically, what Chris was saying was, we need a set of committees to do the different things so that they can be checking what the executive is doing. And the other thing he mentioned was, you see, for the amount of money
he said that politicians make too much money to be coming down
that's what he said, too much money.
Politicians make too much money to only be coming down to Parliament, which was justifying why he said he needs these committees. But what I noticed by being there for the time I was there is that because a lot of these reports are being tabled many times years behind, it is a thing where I took office in 2021. Ministry of Health has outstanding reports that goes back almost 2 or 3 administrations before I took office.
Not years, but administrations.
Administrations, at least 2 administrations, but they're backlogged for years. And again, it's a long time. How could I have found myself, and even with our audited opinions and that sort of stuff, even when those reports were to be tabled, how was I going to be giving a detailed report on something that I hadn't even thought of running for politics then? Because what it then does is open up room to be questioned about the said report that you're tabling, and you go and you expound on it by the opposition, many of which were in office at the time when those reports were written, but they weren't tabled for whatever reason. So just to give you a picture of why sometimes you will have ministers, when they table a lot of these reports that were preceding them, that were actually written before they even got minister. I was told you're setting yourself up for questioning and how you could justify it. But go ahead.
I mean, I'm just learning that now, because that these reports can go that far back. Because
they're catching up. Some ministries are worse than others.
Wow. And when I used to write legislation, what we used to do sometimes is we would say that if you create a body, say like the ombudsman or anybody like that, you would say that at the end of the year, the minister shall lay before the House.
Some of them are outdated, sir. Yeah. Some of them are really behind.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes, we would say within 3 months of the end of the year, like there's a time limit. it seems to me that either some of the legislation doesn't have that provision, and even those who have that provision, then it is not being complied with.
Mhm.
But then, well, that would be very interesting, because then if they are going to bring these committees in at some point,
They got catch up.
then they have to work on that. Yeah, because there's no way that you're going to be debating something that took place,
My point. Yeah, my point.
So I mean, that's very, very, very. I mean, I wasn't aware. I mean, somehow I had assumed that these records.
No, some of them are behind. Some of them are really behind. Till I would be like, my God, I wasn't even thinking about running. I that was the furthest thing away from my mind. How am I going to be reporting on this? No, and you will say the line. You get advice. How do you deal with this? How am I going to report on something that I don't know? I almost putting myself to be held accountable if certain things wasn't brought forward, which is why sometimes it was nerving to, which again, they have the right as an opposition. While sitting in that ministry seat, there were just certain things coming up about NGS 55, the infamous cynical that Ministry of Health only pays the bill, that some of the opposition who were in the seat were asking me that they knew the answer of, and holding me responsible for stuff that they knew it was playing catch up, which is why I asked the ministry's team. I said, okay, fine. We got elected to open up after the pandemic, right, in 2021. Why isn't it, am I not able then to prioritize reports during my time so that I can report for during my time? And I got told that that's not how it works with I think it's the Ombudsman's office. Whatever year they're working on, once they're finished and they're cross their T's and dot their I's, and once that report for whatever year they're working on, I'm the sitting minister at the time, I have to table it. And I'm like, but they're not making me look that I am not doing my job. Or when I was a minister, when I was in office, that I was behind. But unfortunately, I got slapped with that.
Yeah, because what you are underlining is really, well, that's the way I understand you, which is that, look, the idea of tabling the report is not so that it can just go there and be filed. The idea of tabling a report is so that it can be debated. But if you are going to submit it at a time when the period and the minister to whom it relates is not there, then what is the point?
Correct.
So in other words, what the system really
you're just tabling it. It's a rubber stamper.
You're just No, it's not, and that is not supposed to be the intention. So what they really need to do is to appreciate that these reports have to be in good time, because the purpose is to debate them. Because if they are not debated, then the people who are suffering are the public. Look at, for example, what is taking place right now, without getting into too much detail about it, with the ombudsman. Okay, she's in dispute in her office.
Yeah.
I imagine that she would have had some reports in the last, she's been there, I think, about 4 years, she would have had reports which were sent over there. To me, it would have been good if these debates had been debated. Like, for example, if, say, they've debated her report and they found her, the manner in which she makes her decision and carries out her duties is good, and then they would maybe pass a resolution commending the way she's doing the work. Then if somebody comes up and says, oh, she's not doing her work properly, people will say, hey, look, her reports in Parliament are always looked upon as having been properly done, and she's been doing her work well. So you see, this is how you hold institutions accountable. Look at, for example, also the office of the DPP. It has had a little bit of controversy. They sometimes have prosecuted people where the complainant didn't want to proceed with the matter, and sometimes they've not prosecuted certain people.
Right.
And those are reports which, once you go to Parliament, they are supposed to be debated. I mean, the Parliament is not supposed to tell the DPP who to prosecute or not, but they can look at what the trends are. And say, well, look, we don't see that you should have prosecuted this one and that one and that one. What is your policy? Tell us what your policy. If you don't, your policy is not there, then you need to work out a policy.
Correct.
You see, that is the way it's supposed to happen. But at the moment, we are left with the talk shows, which are valuable. Like when this young man, the 17-year-old young man, his case is now in court, and he was arrested for inconsiderate driving.
Yes.
Which in his case was splashing water while he's driving, that was inconsiderate driving. So those are issues which should find their way into the report of the DPP. And at some point, the parliamentarians should have a chance to be able to discuss that. I really think that is something that needs to be looked at. There will be issues, of course, this is a small parliament. You can't have too many committees. In big parliaments, they have got committees which have got as many members as the members of parliament in Cayman. Okay, so you have to do that. It's like, I don't know, when you were a minister, did you have cabinet committees?
Yeah, we had committee stage. Yeah, we had different committees. I was HR at Parliament. Yes, I was HR subcommittee chair.
Yeah, but I know in Parliament you've got some, but did you have cabinet subcommittees?
No.
Committees of cabinet?
No.
Exactly. I found also when I was in government, there were no committees. And part of the reason was it's so small that how many committees are you going to have? 2 people with a committee and so on and so forth.
Now there would be times where two ministers would have to work, let's say, on a particular project. Then they partner based on the close connectivity of the ministries and departments. But to say outright committees, no, not like how it is at Parliament. No, not for cabinet.
And then, like they were not structured committees.
No.
They were sort of like ad hoc.
Based on the subject, based on the project.
Yeah, and then I don't think that you can criticize that because it's a small cabinet, and you don't create institutions unnecessarily unless they are necessary. In the case of Parliament, they may need 1 or 2 committees, to be able to deal with certain other areas in addition to the committees that they have now there. But otherwise, it's been very interesting, this debate. I mean,
I heard that everybody from the government side spoke today. That's weird. Again, I was out shopping. I was out doing my own stuff. I've never heard of that before. I mean, they have a right to support their minister, but it's a little weird.
Yeah, like I guess because of the nobody wants to be left there to say you never spoke in favor of Caymanians about the immigration stuff and so forth.
Okay.
So I think that was the reason. I found it very interesting that Kenneth mentioned that 4 of the MPs now in the government were actually against drastic immigration reform when he was in government. I mean, he specifically mentioned the Premier and the health minister, as well as 2 councillors. He didn't mention which councillors it was. But basically, he was trying to say, look, you are now talking about this immigration matter. You came to it late. And in fact, I know that in the recent past, you were not in favor of it.
No. He says they could not bring immigrants. What little I caught of that, because like I said, he's still talking, was that they could not bring proper immigration reform because of the 4 cabinet ministers that left. So it tied them from major national issues. Yeah.
Yeah.
But immigration reform, he can't say that me being one of the 4 that resigned as a cabinet minister was against immigration reform. So I think you misunderstood what he said. He said that they couldn't bring it forward because of the 4 who stepped down from cabinet.
Oh, I thought that when he was talking about the health minister, I thought he was talking about the current health minister rather than when you were health minister.
I think he mixed. Whatever happened is a spillover now, but from then, what I did hear is that certain legislations that they would have wanted to bring forward, they were shackled because, or they were slowed down because of our resignation. Now I hear what you're going to now. If other conversations ensued afterwards, then he said that after I switched off or I was down.
Okay. Well, I mean, since part of the people who are in this government were in the last one, there's always a little bit of that, because I remember Joey also saying the same thing. He said that he said 5 of the people who are in this government were in the last government, so they shouldn't be overly critical about the last government.
Exactly.
He said.
Exactly.
But I mean, it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see where the debate goes. I mean, I thought that Kenneth did very well to say, for example, look, stop circumventing meaningful public discussion. He mentioned again that provision in there, which is like very substantive about how to determine status. He spoke also about marriages. He was saying that the provisions which they want to restrict, like people who get married, like the way they want to extend the period of time, he was a little bit uncomfortable about that. But he had some other good points. For example, he said, I understand that the director of work or some director there will have a discretion to revoke certain statuses.
I think some powers, there's some powers that is recommended where the director of work for residents and employment, if granted, will be after a period of 15 years. The Principal Act provide, among other things, that the spouse of a civil partner of a permanent resident may apply to the board or director of work. I think that was clause 13 he was referring to. For residents and employment rights. I stand to be corrected. But what I got, because I was wondering, because we've been going through these causes one by one, I can just hear a bit of what he said and kind of have an idea which cause he's talking about. But I think what he felt, there were not a lot of belts and braces giving all of that power to one position. The individual there now may be who the individual is. But what if you get an individual who is just full of venom, who is a very vindictive person and is not objective and just looking at a case without actually getting feelings, then, that's putting a lot of power into somebody's hands that it could be misused.
And I think I don't recall the particular provision. It's probably the one you are referring to. But regardless of which provision, any power to do something that is drastic like that, you don't want to give it to an individual. If you do, you want to circumscribe it and don't leave it at the open discretion of that person. You have to.
I think that was what he was referring to. It was too open.
Exactly. It was too open. You want to be able to say, okay, in this case, in that case, in that case, in that case, you can revoke. For example, sometimes what you would do is, let us imagine, okay, within the immigration law, they can revoke your whatever status you have if you told a material lie at the time. Okay? If you told a material lie. Now, if you say that the director, after making a due inquiry, and if they prove that the particular thing was a lie, they can revoke it. Now, that is something probably you can give to a director because it doesn't have much discretion. If you find that somebody said, well, I was aged 18 years old, when actually they were maybe 16 years old, they told a lie, and then you get conclusive proof, you might give them power to revoke in that kind of case. Why? Right. Because it's kind of clear. So I think he's right about, every time when I used to write legislation.
Caller? Hello? Oh, I think you got muted. You muted yourself. He muted himself. Excellent conversation, though. Georgetown Central was really referring to all the power without guard. You muted yourself accidentally.
Well, maybe I pressed it too much against my ear and then it opened. So, once I get excited. So, discretion's always, you want to be careful who you give them to, what the nature of the power is, and a lot of times you want to circumscribe the discretion. I know that, for example, in Australia, they discourage, for example, in writing legislation, discourage you from, for example, writing a provision which says the director may in
Right.
his discretion do ABC, because they say that tends to make certain people feel that their power is very wide.
Empowered. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. You must just say that he may do ABC, and then even then you have to look at the power you are giving and see if you can circumscribe it so that it can be properly guided. Now, sometimes you can circumscribe that power by policy directions, but that's much more difficult for you to supervise because it's not
Correct.
legislative and it can change anytime. So, I mean, all those things I think are a very good point. He spoke about regulations as well. And the speaker reminded him to say, well, but you see, there's no legal requirement that regulations should be made available. But I think his answer was also good. I mean, the speaker was right in saying that.
But it also
what he was trying
highlights
to
the
say,
point. Well, if you want it in there, just change the law.
yeah, exactly. You know, and he, these are things, again, I always say that the law is made for man and not man for the law, if we can borrow from the Bible, you see. If the law is there, but is it good law?
Right.
Okay. And in this particular case, I think you will say, well, although they are not obligated, but I think politically, considering the subject matter, it is very emotive and so on, that they should be able to do this. We'll see where this goes. He also mentioned something about.
He said he was going to ask for a division because he was going to ask for an amendment to one particular clause where it says that good Caymanians who something for marriage for love, that they're now being penalized, having to remain married for 15 whatever years, whatever it was, he says. And again, this is me just doing what I have to do, and I retaining all of this, which is why I have to go back after these shows in the night and really go through what is being said in Parliament. But I'm happy that you're actually listening today because I was out and about. He's planning on making an amendment, and there are just certain clauses, there are just certain sections that he has some serious concerns about that has been also aired here, that the public has would not have had an opportunity to even know what's coming. And he feels that is not fair to the public. But all in all, quite interesting what I picked up on is that it would be, quote, political suicide to vote against this amendment.
That's what he said, yes. He said, look, whatever you do, we'll vote for it because there's some good stuff in it. But really, we need to have more consultation, take it to January. And also, there are some things he would like to be removed or changed. But otherwise, he basically said, oh, look, whatever you do, we are going to vote for it because there's some good things in it. So,
but that doesn't address some of the even seem concerns that the opposition outlined. If you realize what that is saying, it's like, we have to vote for it because it could be political suicide, but yet you acknowledge there's some damning sections in there because we don't know what's going to happen at committee stage amendment. Let me tell you something, just being in layman's terms as honest as I can, they're caught in between a rock and a hard place because the same Georgetown Central minister as well, and that came up a couple times when they were throwing jabs at each other, which is not of importance right now. People just want to know that they're there to do their job and hoping that it'll be done in the best interest for them. That he's one of those that had this big billboard crying for immigration change as well.
Yes.
You understand? So they're all in between a rock and a hard place.
And that's the accurate description because, look, if you say I'm not going to vote in favor of it, yes, you will be interpreted as opposing even the good things that are in it.
But you're not protecting Caymanians and that sort of stuff when there's some gaping holes in it that you're still in the same vein killing Caymanians.
Exactly. So you see, it's like, what do you do? Okay, you don't. There's a lot of stuff there, as you're saying, killing Caymanians, killing the young people who want to get jobs and are working hard. They've got some qualifications, and yet you are not able to agree, and which is very. it's very interesting that they agree we want immigration reform. We want to ensure that, in fact, he touched on a very sensitive topic. He said, you know what, if you do not watch this whole thing about status grants, we will lose as indigenous Caymanians political power in this house. He said that.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, if that is what you are trying to prevent, together with preventing being a minority, trying to sort of like, pull that back and so forth. If that's what you are trying to aim at, then why aren't you listening to these people who are saying you must put a cap on grants?
Yes. Yeah. Let me tell you, it is a difficult position to be in right now, having this conversation. And I feel that the whole call, the whole cry for just slowing it down just a tad bit, whether or not it would have made a difference, which was aired here yesterday. People are saying, now that we're in tune, now that they're almost apologetic for, some people didn't even know that there was a meeting at Mayor Miller Hall. Some people, they didn't hear about, the town hall meetings. Not everybody listens to certain radio stations. You see what I'm saying? And not to say that a good campaign was not done, or whatever you want to call it, that was done.
Public consultation.
Public consultation. Nobody's not saying that it wasn't done properly, but were people paying attention? And this was something that came up in a conversation that I had today in the store. I said, the sad thing is, and I've said this even while in Parliament, it looks as though my people only become vocal on bills when they're being debated on the floor of Parliament, because they do not attend the public consultations. And you could see the individuals just looking and saying, I said, this is why you need to understand, for example, this is what I'm saying to myself afterwards. And I'm like, but I'm saying these things like they should know. Honestly, you would be floored how much people just do not understand the operations of how it works. By the time that get on the floor of Parliament, what it would have gone through, how you could have participated. We say it as though everybody know it. People are just taken up with different things in their lives. And this is why people are going to feel this by not being involved, not being participatory, because they're all caught up. And there's nothing wrong with you taking care of your own life, keeping the lights on, having to do a second, third job. But where do you strike the balance, caller? Because people are just understanding now, and they're very vocal now because it's being debated on the floor of Parliament, and now they want to have their say. It's kind of late.
Yeah. You know, the friend of mine in Cayman, every time we have a discussion, a lot of time when we have a discussion, he reminds me of that. It's like sometimes I say something and then he tells me, you know what, people won't understand what he was saying.
Exactly.
You know? So it's like I have to sort of like recalibrate and say, okay, let's look at it again. And going back to what that same person was saying, was saying, well, look, once they say that, well, let's do this now and then we can do the rest later. People don't understand that later is not January, February. It could be 5-6 years.
Yeah.
It could be 5-6 years, because the legislative program in government, I mean, there's so much legislation being done. I remember one time we were going to get a consultant to draft certain legislation, and those people said they were waiting for their legislation for 5 years. Okay, so that in fact, immigration, as you know, is you understand that better than I do, is given even more priority. But even that, it has to join the queue. So people shouldn't feel comfortable to say, okay, if we don't do it now, we can do it later, because that later could be a number of years. And politically, personally, I would think politically for government, they would do well to accept this proposal to push it to January, because the people who are asking for it to be put off are not saying, let's put it off for 6 months. In fact, they don't want that. They are just saying, give us about another month maybe so that we can look at it again. I think politically it will be good for government, because if at the end of that they can't agree, then government will be able to say, look, we listened to the people and we gave people a better chance, and we've consulted with the opposition, but really we have been unable to agree. now I'm hoping that they would agree on more things, but even if they didn't agree on so many things, that this government will be able to say, look, we tried, we just did not agree.
Yeah.
At the moment, they are looking like they are rushing it. We have decided there's no more discussion. This is going to be the law. It's not looking very good politically. If I were their political advisor, and I'm not a political scientist, so.
But how do you do the balance then with people just realizing? And for those of you who know me, I says, "Oh, Wi-Fi chipped out. My Wi-Fi chipped out. Oh, Wi-Fi is back." It's like ding, 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 ding. What I think what is happening now to a greater amount of people because of how the discussions have ensued, because of how we've been sharing it. It's amazing the feedback that we got from last night's show, because people are like, oh my God, we didn't realize it. You kept putting stuff up on the screen, you broke it down. And of course we've done must be 7-8 shows on this. It's not to come after the government. It's because I am realizing that people are really not in tune. And if they are finding this time of the evening and we can share in this space to educate the public, this is by no means coming after the minister. And that's another thing. Some people want to think that I'm only doing this because I have a bee in my bonnet for the minister. Oh, for God's sakes, please get over it. No. But I can understand why, because the elections is still six months ago, right? But get over it. No, I have nothing against the government. I have nothing against the minister. I am just delivering and creating a space. So stop that foolishness. We're educating. It's like I'm being chastised for, in some spaces, for just trying to deliver or interpret for education purposes in layman's terms to the public.
I listen to your show very regularly, Sabrina. If there's one thing I cannot say about you is that you somehow have some a chip on your shoulders about the former minister. In fact, I think you have avoided discussing that.
Exactly.
And you have insisted, look, I mean, there are sometimes I say something or any of the other callers say something, and then you say, okay, I want to be devil's advocate. How about this side? Can you think about that? And you see, we can't have a meaningful debate if we are too willing to just say, if somebody says something, then we say, oh, she must be saying this because of that. No. Freedom of speech, there are sometimes you will agree with people who you like, but you shouldn't be accused of saying, oh, she's just saying that because she likes him. No. We should be free to say things. Yeah,
which is why I'm nonpartisan, because you can't say, oh, well, she's only going to speak to Balika because that's her friend. No, I have taken a neutral tone. The space is here for all sides, and I'm more than able to host all of them and still deliver what we've been delivering here.
Yeah, exactly. And it's very interesting. Let me mention, talking about how we try to share what we have experienced in life with the public. Let me share something which is connected to what Kenneth was saying. He said, well, look, there is going to be a declaration that certain people will have to make every year.
Yeah.
But you are not telling us what they are going to be required to declare. Now, usually, as you know, that would be in regulations, but again, then the regulations haven't been seen. But what I would like to sort of like share with the public is that forms, sometimes you need to be very careful what you put in them, even if they go in regulation. That's why when I used to write legislation, we always used to insist, if you want to prescribe a form, come to us, we'll have a look at it, because sometimes you will ask information in those forms which violates people's human rights. Okay? Because, for example, like in places like Canada, some places in the States and so on, you can't ask somebody on a form what their religion is.
Right.
Because you are interfering with them. There are certain questions you can't ask because they interfere with the right to privacy. They might be not legitimately related to the purpose of the form. And a lot of times as lawyers, we want to look at the form and through the prism of human rights and other rights, so that we can tell you whether you can ask that or not.
Right.
And for the same reason, the public also need to know sometimes what will be asked for in the form. Look, I know people in Cayman who have been fighting with public institutions because the public institutions have been asking for things sometimes which are not even in the form, which is prescribed. And then they say they want to put in the form to demand something which is not prescribed, and yet the law requires it should be prescribed. And so forms can be very important. So I do understand where Kenneth Bryan is coming from, both from the general aspect that we should see the regulations, and also that it's important for us to see what you are going to require. Okay. One time, Sabrina, I was dealing with a piece of legislation. I won't mention which one since I'm still bound by government secrecy. There's a piece of legislation they were trying to do, and then I asked this person, I said, can you tell me the reason why you want this legislation? And the person wrote back to me and told me, you are just a drafter. You are not supposed to be asking what the reason is, and so on and so forth. I was in a good mood, so I wrote back to them. I said, no, actually the reason why I'm asking you this is because there are certain rights to property under the Constitution. But those rights property with derogations. In other words, you can interfere with them so long as certain things are satisfied. So the only reason I'm asking you why you are proposing this legislation is to see whether the reason for asking for this information comes within one of the derogations. You see? And yet the person thought that I was actually trying to help him, but the person thought that I was interfering in policy making and so on. But when I explained that to them, and also I showed the guidelines that we had to show that the drafter is supposed to be given the full policy reasons, because the policy reasons may be legally significant, the person accepted that. Now, by the way, that's one of the things I was trying to teach in government, but I never got a chance to teach many classes. I taught some. So.
Right. But otherwise, what would you say to the fact that it is now a general consensus, of course, based on what we said earlier on, that it's going to actually pass with some amendments, obviously amendments. So it's going to be interesting to closing, because the minister now has to do the closing.
Yeah,
the closing statement.
Because now, and I think you remember they still show the committee stage discussions on TV, do they? I remember
there's a part where they go through certain things and they do it clause by clause. That is supposed to be public, if my memory serves me well. There's a part where they actually go through, they come out of the whole sitting now, and then they go into committee stage, and that's where you can, it's more relaxed a bit, and then you go through it clause by clause, you read the bill, you go through each section, and you make sure, and any amendments, then you, under the various sections, the standing orders, you then make the necessary amendments. It's that time that you can possibly have some questions being asked.
So and I like it that they do that public now. I think if you go back far enough, they used to do that, in private. The fact that they do it, the fact that they do it publicly, even if it is committee, that is really good, because at least we can get a little bit of a chance to hear what those 17 amendments are. Although it's too late to change anything.
Wow, it's funny you said that,
Sabrina. I mean, this is very useful. Well, today you've also given me a little bit of a lesson, because this is why I think people like yourself, who have been outside the system, have been in the system and come back, you learn certain things, because I didn't realize that those reports are like some of them.
There
like
was an exercise. Remember now, there was also an exercise in order to do a cleanup. But of course, some ministries are much bigger than others. And then I know people hate to hear this, but COVID as well. And then it was a case where there was a point where there was short staff, and I'm only telling you what was told to me, because I'm like, okay, but just cover the time that I'm in, because then you understood the importance of bringing the cabinet paper, talking about, and of course you'll have it in a synopsis form as to what the report contains. But then you wouldn't have known, because that, first of all, would not be under your administration strategic policy statement. It's nothing about what you wanted to do. And then here you are now having to table this on the floor of Parliament. Oh, stick a pin. Remember when 2021 that we got elected and everybody thought that we had gotten elected and given ourselves a raise because it had to be reported?
Yeah.
We had to report that, and we didn't give ourselves a raise because the former administration knew that the right thing to have done is that they should have tabled it, right? But
Yeah.
guess what? They didn't get back. They didn't get elected, and we had to table something that we gave ourselves raises.
You got almost crucified for the sins of others, you know.
And then people were saying, why did you take it? Well, we didn't take it. We didn't take it. We didn't take the, there was an uplift or something. Again, I'm mixing up,
Yeah.
I could be mixing up the two, but there was also a COLA, I think, that we did not take. And, but the whole thing about tabling these things brings back the point, because we had to table something that we did not do, but in the public space, we gave ourselves a raise in 2021, which was not the case.
No. Well, it's good that there's no death penalty. You would have been gone, you know.
Exactly. But I mean, for people to understand that, it goes right back to why you will have ministers who are now tabling reports that could have been from another administration, because they're just now cleaning house, getting caught up,
Yeah.
because it has been brought up in
Yeah.
the Auditor General reports, years and years of being a backlog. And whoever's sitting in that ministerial seat now, they have a constitutional mandate to deliver that on the floor of Parliament,
Yeah.
making it
And
look
then
like
sometimes
it's
you-
what you did.
Yeah, and you know, some members of parliament can be so hard to say, well, come on, you are still technically responsible because you are
Correct.
in the seat.
Yes.
But I mean,
Yeah.
as a factual matter, it's unfair.
Correct.
You know, yes, you have to answer for it, and you have to explain what the problem is. But at the end of the day, you were not there when it was being done, you know, and you were not
Correct.
part of the decision.
Correct.
So,
Correct. But that
well,
was
Sabrina,
interesting.
it was very, very interesting and very educational for me as well. I have to get back to the MPs and see what they are doing. You know,
Oh,
maybe
yeah.
we can have some further food for discussion tomorrow.
All right, let's see. Let's see. Oh, one more comment, just in case you want to weigh in on this. Tartarian
Sure.
said,
No problem.
people had ample time to open their mouth and speak up. It's not the government's fault. It's the people's fault, who don't care to pay attention of what is going on in the islands. What would you take away from that?
That one, I think there's validity to it. There are some people who don't know how the procedure is, therefore, so they don't know where to speak. But it really, if you didn't go to any of the town halls or you didn't send in things, yes,
Yeah.
I agree with that you know, that messenger, you know, that we have to pay attention. You have to make the effort to pay attention. You don't just wait and say, well, I hope that it will flash on your computer. You have to go to the government website and say, okay, what is there? What is under the Economic Statistics Office? Where is the bill? And you have to reach out to your MP, like Daniel was saying, I think yesterday or day before. Reach out to your MP, like be proactive and go out there. Don't expect that they are going to always, you know, like directly contact you. I think that person is right. We should always make the effort. It's our government after all, isn't it? It is. So.
Thank you so much. Always a pleasure to have you here.
Take care, Sabrina. Always a pleasure. Same here.
Yes.
Cheers.
Tomorrow,
Bye-bye.
God's fair life. Yes. Take care. Yes. There you have it. So it's quite interesting, and I agree with some of the person's. No, not agree. I agree with the comments that you made here. To be honest with you, seeing it now from both sides, where you will have persons who you will go out, let's say, and you will say, do you know this is happening? I don't know. Child, I don't know. What are you talking about? And they're having a total conversation, a big conversation about a national topic, but they're oblivious of what's going on. And I agree with Tartarian that we as Caymanians need to be a little bit more involved. And I feel that one of the biggest mistakes that we are making, honestly, is just tuning in when it's Parliament time. Because yes, it is almost too late when a bill is on the floor of Parliament and then you're having the masses speaking, so to speak. But yeah, we have to tune in, read the online, I guess, newspapers, whichever one you choose, if not read all of them, because you get different styles of writing and how stories are being presented. But this space, again, anything with laws, and I know a lot of people may have thought, okay, why is she taking on immigration? I'm comfortable with it, number one. Number two, I also brought to your attention that there were other bills that were being tabled and passed that we did not even speak, because what was actually happening was this topic on immigration became very loud and people were asking questions. So, of course, other bills that could have implications on our day-to-day lives, how we operate businesses and all that sort of stuff, could have actually been overlooked because a lot of the focus has been paid on immigration. Okay. So what we're going to continue to do is, moving forward, I will make that promise to you that any of these bills, even if it's a synopsis, we don't have to have like 6-7 courses or episodes on it unless it warrants your demand for it, is to just break it down, because I'm seeing where there is hunger for this style, so that you will know what laws and stuff are actually going to be going before the House, and we can break it down. So it's not because it's immigration, or it's because of the minister, or it's anti this government. No, this was a topical subject. I've heard persons saying we need to know how we can actually remove takeaway status from those who've already been granted. We need to just get stronger laws and all this sort of stuff. And I'm like, you need to understand where you're coming from first. And long before this white paper, this bill even made it in the public's domain, I did a number of shows on immigration because the questions were coming in. So I think moving forward, it would be in the best interest to present to you in this space, have shows on legislations that is coming through, and that requires me doing research and your participation. This is the only how we're going to know about it. I try to break it down as well, the process of how something becomes a bill, so that you will understand the process. It looks as though, because this particular bill was so topical, that it may warrant me doing and presenting another episode for educational purposes as to how things reach this stage and what happens before a bill actually gets filed to Parliament. Because then you will understand what your responsibility is. I'm happy that you're all tuning into this podcast, these shows. So I will use this opportunity then to be as informative and educate you as much as possible on the operations of government, okay? And should the need comes, any form of legislation there is, and I welcome any persons in the legal field to join me to come and expound in layman's terms, and we can hash it out here. What I'm noticing is not a lot of people are able to, and I'm hoping with this public appeal, and they're seeing how good it's going, how these explanatory episodes have been, that I will find persons wanting to do it more. There are going to be things that's going to be impacting our financial industry. We've seen where the cable now is going to, what that means, the fiber optic, the Maya cable for connectivity purposes and all that sort of stuff. Remember, I gave a brief synopsis on that. And I predicted this is not going to have any problem going through. It's common sense. And so say so done. Look at what bill right now is on the floor of Parliament that's being heavily debated. Immigration. So now you understand why it was a good idea then, thanks to Danny, even though I could kill him. And you've appreciated it. Now you're trying to say, give us at least another 2 weeks, another 3 weeks. Can we just give us 3 weeks so we can absorb this, get some more information on it? That's up to them, but it looks as though it's going to go through. Now, there's another stage, a set of amendments we're hearing to the immigration law that is forthcoming and in short order. Now, what that is about, we don't know. Maybe you'll hear in the closing. Maybe you hear about it closing of this bill, because the minister who tables this bill, he opens it up for debate. And that's what has happened today. Even members of the government supported him and all that sort of stuff. And of course, the opposition can speak on it. And then at the end of all of the persons who wish to speak and point out certain things, the last say in closing the debate is the same minister. Now, all of this time, his team and himself would be making keynotes in order to wrap up and sometimes to answer certain concerns that were aired, certain issues that were aired in the debate, and then that almost like a closing argument. And then it goes to a vote. Yeah, at some point it goes to a vote, and then it goes back after the vote then, and it's passed. Then you go to the committee stage amendment sometimes with these things. Again, I'm just trying to give you a synopsis, but I promise you, I will go through it step by step for you where the standing orders is concerned, because I'm getting that a lot of you have no clue. And some of you really, until you hear the discussion now, like, we don't care. That's what they're there to do. But now that you're seeing the good, the possibility of bad, what can I do? We just want them to slow it down. We're not saying to end it. You're feeling like, oh my God, we missed an opportunity because guess what? You didn't invest the time. So unfortunately, these are the consequences that you are going to have to pay. But I will let you know here exactly. I'll break it down how the steps go from the idea or the wishes of the government for a specific bill or amendment, how the instructions are given, how it's then come into a caucus paper, how it goes through cabinet, how it goes through the whole process. I will walk you through all of that until it gets to the floor debate. That's the only how we can break this down, because in the next, 3 years, because April coming will be year one. So in the next 3 years, there's going to probably be a lot more amendments coming. We've heard the minister say so himself. So if you understand the process now in layman's terms, you will know when that trigger comes. We have to listen. When is the public consultation? Are they going to do an online forum? Are they going to be on CMR platform? Are they going to be on Sabrina Speaks? Are they going to be here? Going to be there? We all have our different styles in delivering our shows. And this is why it's good for them to just explore all platforms, because we do carry different audiences. But I make that promise to you for 2026. I'll keep on the legislation. If there's something that comes out, I welcome persons to give their feedback in laws and that sort of stuff. I think somebody had in a previous episode that said I needed to go through one other law. Please, if you're in tune, leave it in the comments so that I know exactly which one that is. I think it was Damian Henry a little while ago, something, I could be wrong, but there was one particular one that I think people were crying out for, and just time would not allow me to do it. But if you're tuned in today and there's a particular law that you want us to go through in layman's terms, just leave it in the comments. Good evening, Danny. How you doing?
Not bad.
You sound like you had a day like me.
Yeah, I missed most of your show, actually.
Well, I'm going to publicly tell you like what I told Mr. Belika. You got loads of compliments today. People love your contributions. You and Mr. Belika and Siobhan, and even Carrie got kudos today as well. So people are loving your contributions. Congratulations to you all.
Well, I appreciate that, but I have to ask something now. When am I going to get some feedback on people's thoughts so that we can hear what it is that we need to be talking about?
Well, that's what I just asked. So it's going to be interesting. I said it here and I will say it up until the 19th. Give me your feedback so we can build it for 2026. Understanding now, of course, this space is taking shape and what people want. And we're willing to do it. We're all game.
I just want to make a couple of quick comments.
Go ahead.
When you were talking about the government being in a difficult place,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they're in a difficult place at all.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's fairly simple. If people are asking for the more time to have proper public consultation about the contents of the bill, then I mean, any wise government would say, sure. I think it's foolish politically to just barge ahead as if the public isn't saying anything.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't see that as being between a rock and a hard place, unless your agenda is not to take the public's views into consideration.
Mm-hmm.
Then that would put you in a difficult place if you did the consultation.
Mm-hmm.
But so unless that's what they're telling us, it's pretty straightforward.
Right.
It's not unreasonable. In fact, when you write government and you're looking for a response on something that might have a degree of difficulty for it,
Mm-hmm.
to it, they might think that it's okay to not respond for like 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so after that period of time, then they start saying, well, maybe it's starting to get unreasonable.
Mm-hmm.
So you're telling me that the short period of time that we're being unreasonable in expressing concerns about the bill? That's nonsense.
They may
And the
not see it
comment,
as being unreasonable. They may not see it as they may just be saying, look, we feel it's enough time. We got to do this because there are other amendments coming.
And my next comment was going to be on this idea that somehow we're just, don't like the minister, or it's, all of that kind of nonsense. Listen, I talk about issues, whether the person that I'm talking to likes me or not.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't, like, to me, I remove the personality,
Right.
and I talk about the issue. Okay. And so even if it was the case that I didn't like the minister, you wouldn't actually tell that in
Correct.
me talking about the issue.
Correct. Correct.
Because
Because
I'm
you're focused
talking
on the
about
issue.
the issue,
Yeah.
not the minister.
Correct.
But what that does tell me when the minister says those types of comments is that the minister does not want to hear criticism. And that is not a good attitude to have as a policymaker, because there's always going to be questions and concerns about policy.
Mm-hmm.
That is the push and shove of debate. In fact, when Billy was talking about freedom of expression, think about it for 1 second. If the only thing we said each day was, "I agree with you. I agree with you. I agree with you," boy, would that be a boring show.
Oh, it would.
Okay, so one of the primary reasons for which you have conversation is to resolve conflict.
Yeah.
Okay, so in most instances, if you have a useful issue to raise, you're saying, well, we have this challenge here. I think that we should resolve this challenge in this way. And then the other person will say, well, no, I think we should do it this way.
Mm-hmm.
And so just because you have disagreement doesn't mean you have to have hate,
Right.
right? But if it can be shown that what is happening is that you absolutely do not have any regard for people's opinion, then perhaps you shouldn't be a policymaker. Because that is not a consistent with the principles of a free and open democratic society, right? And there's a reason we have a right as a freedom of expression, and you think about freedoms not as something you can do.
Mm-hmm.
Don't think of it that way. Think of our freedom to express ourselves as a restriction on government, because that is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, when the government is doing something or saying something, they have to respect our right to freedom of expression to say, I agree with you. I have a little concern here. I have a question. I'm deeply concerned about this, whatever the opinion happens to be.
Right.
The government cannot tell you you can't have that opinion. So to suggest that you just don't like the minister, that's why we're coming up with these things, is sort of like a backhanded slap at the right to freedom of expression. Because they can't directly come out and say, sit down and shut up.
Shut up. Yes. Yes. Then they
Right.
come in a different form.
Right. But I've seen all of this before. I don't worry about it too much. The only reason I'm explaining this here is for people who might not be familiar with what your rights are, and I might not, and maybe uncertain about how to assert those rights.
Correct. Correct.
Right. But and so, I mean, I can't spend more time at the moment because I have to go to
No, that's fine. I have to end at 7 as well. You realize we almost went until 9 o'clock last night.
Well, that felt like a warm up.
Well, look, I'm all game. So we got to have a lot in 2026. I'm going to build a nice thing. Thank you for sharing a lot of stuff with me. And I'm not only going to just have these conversations for conversation's sake. I'm going to tie them in and be cognizant of what's happening now and from when you've been sending it, and rebuild it from there to actually have discussion. So even though, like I said, I'm going to get some downtime as of the 19th, I will be building definitely a good presentation for the new year. And that's keeping it real with what's happening on the ground locally as well.
Well, I just want to remind the public the way to get the most out of the show is to send in comments about what you're concerned about, what you don't understand, why is this happening, why is that happening.
Correct.
And that will give us something to chew on.
Correct. And like I said, 9368255, there is you can WhatsApp your concerns or questions there. And Sabrina Speaks, the number 12, is the email at gmail.com. So I will post that again afterwards on it. But people know sometimes I get the messages late at night and I said, can you take a call? Because it's easier for me to just explain to them. But yeah, the space is definitely building. And I feel so proud of you guys for just contributing. And all sorts of people came up to me today. I hit Cost You Less, Price Right, and Foster's Cayman Bay. And my shopping trip was extended because of engaging with so much people. And they brought up your name all the time, Mr. Balika, Siobhan, and Carrie. And you're like, they're applauding you. Lisa too. Sorry, Lisa as well. Pretty much you guys, but you were front and center, you and Mr. Balika, because you guys come across like professors and I'm just staring the ship. So yeah.
Well,
even though some may think I have a bee in the bonnet, but they refuted that. They're like, no, you're being beaten now because you're educating us.
Yes, that's correct. That you don't be dissuaded by any person saying.
Yeah, I'm not.
Like that.
No, that's only more encouraging for me, to be honest.
I would like to take this opportunity to invite the government to reconsider their hard-headed position and to delay the vote on this bill and allow for sufficient public consultation for us to actually get things right. I do not accept them taking the position that they're just going to get on with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm asking the public again, please message your MPs and ask them to delay the vote so that we can have proper public consultation.
Okay, there you go.
I don't accept defeat until they decide that they're going to outright reject the request.
Okay, there you go. I'm quite sure they're hearing. Thank you. Have a good evening. Be safe. Yes. It is 6:51. Caller, you can call back. You will have approximately 2 minutes because I have to end at 7. There is another show that's coming on after Sabrina Speaks. But I want to take this opportunity now to thank everyone. I know I got, 9 minutes? I want to get that caller back. But we can't go into overtime this evening. So Good evening, caller. You're live on Sabrina Speaks. We can't go into overtime, so I'm giving you 2 minutes at 6:51.
I just called to say Happy New Merry Christmas when the summer.
Love you.
And I'm be long because I overseas, but pray for me because my husband got house surgery in Moffat. So
Oh
that's
no, Miss Shalma.
that's what I meet up in.
Oh no.
After my nephew, his birthday on Monday, and we were sad, but now this come up, so this is the next thing. The cancer came back, so
Oh no,
he got a house surgery. Yeah, he got a
Okay.
house in 6 months. They come back, so he got a house surgery in Moffat. He's just waiting on the appointment from the doctor now. So
I'm
I
letting you
didn't
know
want
we
to be in
miss
for
you.
that.
We miss you, Miss
Yeah,
Shalma.
but
Our thoughts and
yeah,
prayers are with you.
just pray for me. I
Yes,
hope
my love.
everything go okay, but I'm up
All
there
right.
quick. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right.
All right,
Okay.
my love.
Okay.
Take care.
Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
Thanks. Okay,
Sure.
bye.
Bye-bye. Let's please keep Miss Shalma. Jimbo, you were off. Miss Shalma had a tragedy in her family in Tampa. Her brother or her nephew got in a motor vehicle accident. He died on the spot. So she has been in Tampa since just before Thanksgiving. She attended that funeral. Her husband is with her. And now she's saying now he has to have a surgery. So she's off island until the new year. So that's why you haven't been hearing from her. She's not here. And I thank her. It just goes to show the connectivity and the togetherness of this family. But she's not back yet. She just wanted to keep her family here in tuned. You could see the excitement in my voice. You see in my face and hear it in my voice. I really miss Michelma, but I understand that she's in mourning. And now, unfortunately, she's now gripped with other bad news. But again, it just goes to show the power of the space. We can go from hard-hitting national topics to still being human and actually take time, and people entrust us in sharing their personal stories as we embark on this journey with them. So yes, there you have it. We have now come to blessings and prayers. Yes, for Miss Shelma and her husband and family. Yeah, thank you, Jimbo. She had missed you too, you know. Oh God, she had missed you. Jim, she missed you so. But yeah, we have come to an end of another episode of Sabrina Speaks. Tomorrow it continues. It's a wind down Friday, and the conversation will continue. I'm going to catch up on all this evening's today's Parliament proceedings, and I will come back and report on that. And I didn't get to cover the. I know Sandra had on her early show the e-bikes and what that means for Cayman. So yeah, the new law has changed. There's a law that's now in effect. The Commissioner of Police was on the Cold Hard Truth this morning talking about that, and come January 2026 and what that means. So you could face costs up to $2,000, and we're going to talk about all of these different costs. And maybe people are going to these e-bikes because they're realizing certain things. But guess what? We can dabble a little bit into that along with other headlines tomorrow evening. So make sure that you lock it in here. Real Michelle, thank you so much. Yes, I'm quite sure I'm posting all of this. Yeah, Connie, Bonnie, you know how we feel with our lovely Miss Shalma. Our MPs, what Darlene saying? Our MPs are known for not answering calls and messages, so they will do this the same again. Real Michelle, he was another cutie patootie. Paul Roberts, Miss Sabrina, star, thank you so much for that compliment. I try. Shaka Zulu, how you doing, my sweet? God bless Michelle and her family. Let's keep her in her thoughts and prayers. The commissioner. Yeah, he was there on the show. So we'll talk a little bit about that tomorrow. And we'll also finish this discussion, and we can do a recap of today, and we can just dissect Parliament's proceedings tomorrow. I'm not going on the road. Yay. No more adventures for me until the weekend. But yeah, you are more than welcome, Jimbo. Thanks again, Sabrina, for another excellent show. You and Sandy are very much appreciated. We love the love. Full of news and knowledge. That's what it's all about here. We're going to make it value. It's 6:56. I got to give that outro. Mwah! Love you lots. Happy holidays. Be safe on the road. Until tomorrow, have a fabulous Thursday.
That's a wrap for today's edition of Sabrina Speaks. Thank you for tuning in and for being part of the conversation. Remember, the dialogue doesn't stop here. Stay engaged, stay informed, and most importantly, stay empowered. We'll be back tomorrow at 5 p.m., same time, same place, right here on CMR TV and radio, where your voice matters and your truth is heard. Until then, Cayman, take care of yourself and each other.
That's it for today's edition of Sabrina Speaks, where your voice matters, your story counts, and your truth is always welcome. Join us weekdays from 5 until 6:30 p.m. right here on CMR TV as we dive into the topics that matter most to you. Catch the show live or on demand at cmrtv.com. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram so you never miss a moment. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and always speak your truth.